Hi friends, welcome back to my quilt room. And if you're new here, I'm so glad you stopped by. Have you ever thought of embellishing your quilt blocks? Maybe with some laces or some ribbons, some buttons. Well, today I'm going to show you some different ways to embellish your quilt blocks. And I'm also going to show you how to put your Quilt As You Go blocks together in a different way without cutting any sashing. So I hope you'll stay tuned and let's get started. So today we're going to be doing a 9-patch. So just a simple 9-patch, but I wanted it to be kind of like a shabby chic type. So I had these fabrics that I bought years ago, so I can't really tell you where I got them from because I probably bought them like 5 years ago. But I basically just cut out 3.5-inch squares from all the fabrics, and then I took like a background fabric and added to it. So if you're a beginner, just let me show you how we'll lay this out. So these are these are 3.5-inch squares. And basically I just laid them out like a simple 9-patch. And I do have videos on this, so I will link that below so that you can watch that if you haven't put a 9-patch together yet. So I have all my blocks laid out, and then I just flipped over one side and sewed it down 1/4 inch all the way down. And I just chain pieced this. And then once I was done, I flipped these back and then sewed the other side down. So 1/4 inch all the way down. Okay, so you would get this. Okay, so these are all sewn. Oops, wrong way. These are all sewn. And then you would take your rows and you would sew your rows together to make your whole block. And when you do that, just make sure when you flip it over that you are nesting these two seams together. And then when you're done that, you will get a completed block like this. So that is our 9-patch. So now we want to put our 9-patch together with our backing. Now we're going to do this a little differently. We're going to just attach it right now to our backing piece before we put, our batting piece before we put our backing on. So what I did was I cut my backing out. I'll use this one. I cut my batting out, and I did it a little larger than my block, of course, because I want to make sure that it doesn't shift or shrink up and I have enough room. And then what I did was I just stitched in the ditch in all 4 lines. So all the intersections here, I just stitched in the ditch. You can see that on the back. Now your block should finish at 9.5. So once I sewed it down, I trimmed this up to 9.5. And if yours doesn't come out exactly 9.5, you can go down to 9.25. You just have to figure out, like, because sometimes things shift and when you're sewing them, or they'll shrink up a little bit. So just measure all your blocks and then just cut it to the smallest one. So now that I have them trimmed at 9.5, let's get our backing and our embellishments, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. Also, what I did for my 9-patches was I alternated my blocks. So this was another look that I did. I took the floral fabric and put that on one of the blocks in the corners in the middle, and then I took the background fabric on the other block and put them in the corners and the middle. So that's just another feature I added to mine, but you can do it however you wish. You can do it all the same block, or you can alternate, or however you want to do that. So now what we want to do is we want to start, actually, give me that one back. We want to start embellishing our blocks. So let me show you the different things that I have and show you how I put them on. So let me grab my laces and things and I'll be right back. What I have here is a few things just to show you the different ways that you can embellish your blocks. And I have some different laces. So some wider ones, some narrow ones. I have some bric-a-brac. There's another thin lace. I have some ribbons. This one, and then this is really cute with the little pom-poms on it. I love that. And then I have a wider lace. This is actually stretchy too. And this came with all these different colors, which I thought was really nice too. And I got that from Amazon, so I'll link that below too if you are interested. And then I have this one also, which I thought was really cute too. Then I have some buttons. These buttons are really cute. If you wanted to put some buttons. And then I have bigger buttons, like if you just wanted to do one in the center. So let me show you how we are going to do this. So let's move this out of the way. So what I did was I took my backing, and now how we're going to combine our blocks is we're going to cut our backing to about, I did about 2 inches bigger. You could do, we only really want to wind up with 1 inch at the end, but because things tend to shift or move, or I don't know, I've come out sewing my block to my backing and it wound up like skewed like this. So I gave myself plenty of room, but you can go as much as less as 1 inch. So I did mine at 2 inches. So what I did was I laid this on here, and then I decided what embellishment I wanted. So I'm just going to take like a little lace for right now. And I cut it to just a little bigger than my block. And I'm going to put mine along these intersections here. And I'm only going to do 2 on each. So I'll show you how that's going to look. So that's one. And I'm going to turn them in so that they're facing each other. And then when I do my next block, let's grab another one here. So you could use the same lace, or you can use a different lace or a different embellishment, but I would put it the opposite way. So each time I did my block, I would do the opposite of what was on the one previous, like that. And I think that really looks cute, especially once you get these seshed together to do alternates. So you could do that, or here's another one. You could do like a ribbon. You can do that. And again, you can do every block different, or you could do just lace on your blocks. Here's some rickrack. I think rickrack is adorable too. Look how cute that looks. I think that is so cute. And then also we have this one. See which way that goes. Yep, this way. That one. And look how pretty that is. I really like that one too, because it really goes nicely with the roses here. Also, you could do buttons. These I thought were really cute, these little flowers. You could use any color you want. So let's say we wanted to do green. Now I would probably do them on the background squares. Let's see if I have another green here. Yeah. So like that. That would look really cute too. I also have like bigger buttons. These over here. And so let me get my alternating block. I kind of have the same blocks. And I would do like maybe one in the center here. Or you could do these really cute tiny buttons, which I thought were really adorable. And they have so many different shapes and styles of buttons. Like you could put this one here, like this. Now, I do caution you, if you are going to use little buttons or embellishments, that you be careful what age of children you're giving it to. Like I don't know if I would give this to a baby, like a baby quilt, or like 1 or 2 year old where they're still putting stuff in their mouths. So unless you're comfortable with sewing them on tightly, but you could do that. I think that would be really adorable. So there's so many different things you can do. So I'm going to put some together, and let's go to the machine, and let me show you how I'm going to sew the lace on. So again, remember, we've already cut our blocks down, and we're going to now attach this to our backing fabric through putting our embellishments on. So let's go to the machine and we'll do this one. So let's sew some of our trims on here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my stitch in the ditch foot. And the reason I'm doing that is because I like the little metal bar in the middle, because I can really line up my trims right on there. And I know exactly where I'm going to stitch. So I do like that. All right, so for this one, I'm going to line that up right on this part of the trim where it's a little thicker. And I'm going to sew down there, down on that. And I'm lining that up with my stitch line, like right in between. And I'm just using a straight stitch, and I'm using a light colored thread. And I'm going to stop as soon as I get to the end of my fabric or my block. Okay, so there we have it. And I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Let me take this one out of the way. But here is the trim stitch down. So it comes to right around the stitch line. So let me grab the other one and put this one on the same way. Okay, so now those two are sewn down. Look how precious that looks. I really love that look. So let's do another one. So right now I'm going to switch my thread out because I want to do a pink thread since I have some pink laces coming up. So let me switch that out real quick. Okay, so for my next one, I'm going to do this pretty lace. Now this is a little wider than the other one. It's more of it's like a lace and a ribbon almost in one. I'm just going to lay this middle section like right on top of the stitch line. And then again, I'm going to put this underneath my stitch in the ditch foot, and I'm going to go right in the middle of this. That lined up. Oh, look how nice that one looks. So I'm going to do that other one. And I will show you also what these look like at the very end when I get them all done too. Oops, really. This one is a little stretchy, so you got to be careful you don't pull on this because you don't want it to really pucker on you. Okay, so there's that one. That looks really cute too. I really like that. So let's do now, we have this one. This is a pretty one too. This is that flower lace. That one over there. So this one again, I'm going to just sort of follow the center of it. Oh, that looks cute too. How nice that one looks. So then I'm going to do the other one. That looks really cute too. And then we have a one with the rickrack. So let's sew that one down. Okay, again, I'm going to sort of aim for that, the stitch line going down. This one might be a little trickier because it has a thin surface. Oh my gosh, that looks so cute too. Okay, so let's go back to the table. I'll show you some with the buttons, and we'll take a look at all of these that we've done so far. Okay, so now I have all our blocks that we sewed down, and this is the laces. Look how cute that looks. And then this is the back. It just has the two stitch lines here. Now, if that is not enough stitching for you to hold your blocks together, you feel that that's going to come off, then you can absolutely do some stitch in the ditch in between. But that's totally up to you, because remember, we're going to also join our blocks on the sides. So that's the one lace. This one's really pretty. I really like that one. Here is the little gingham ribbon with the little pom-poms on it. Really cute. Here is the rickrack. This one's really cute too. I like that one a lot. Here's one with buttons. So I did green buttons on this one because I felt it had a little bit more green than the other ones did. And I thought they would look really cute and really popped. So I just did 4 buttons in the background fabric, and I think that's adorable. Here is one with the other little flower buttons. And so these have that backing on it. I forget what you call the shank. I think it's called a shank. So that's the type of backing it has. And I just sewed them on. Again, I would caution you on, who you might give this to. You don't want to give it to a little child that is still putting things in their mouth, because you just never know if they're going to fall off or not. And then here's one with this lace. The next thing we want to do is we want to trim down the laces. So what we're going to do is just fold back your backing. And you want to be really careful with this, because you don't want to get the edge of your backing and cut that, because you'll put a hole in it. So what I would recommend is just to go a little over each one so that you can be sure you're not going to catch that back. Okay, so now we have that done. We want to trim our backing down. And what you're going to do is you're just going to take your ruler and you're going to measure 1 inch out from your block. On each side. Okay. So now what you want to do is you want to take 2 of your blocks, use this one, Take two of your blocks, and again, I'm alternating mine, the corners differently, and then alternating the direction of my laces. So what you're going to do is you're going to take two of your blocks, you're going to line those up, right sides together. And you can clip these or pin them. I think I'm going to actually pin them, just so I know they're not going to move on me. And you also want to like sort of look, just make sure that your blocks are lining up also, which mine are. And then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew right to the edge of our block. So let's go to the machine. I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm using my stitch in the ditch foot, and I'm doing that because this little bar right in the middle makes it really easy to just glide it along my block here, and then it will sew right against the edge, and that's what we want to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to start at the very top, and you can mark this if you wish, you know, if you want to make sure that you're in line, but I'm just going to eyeball it for now. And I'm going to start at the top, and we're going to sew all the way down, guiding that bar along my block. And just take your time. Okay. So I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's stitched right along here. And I'll show you when we go back to the table. Okay, so we have that sewn down. I'm going to take my pins out. And you can see, hopefully, it is stitched like right next to the quilt block. So I'm going to open this up. And then here's the back. And it looks like sort of all one piece. And you can see the stitching where the laces are sewn on. Now what we're going to do is this piece here, our backing, we're actually going to use that for our sashing. So I'm going to press this down, and I'm just going to use my iron real quick so it stays down. Put these pins over here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take one side, we're going to fold back this piece halfway, and then we're going to fold it again all the way down. So, and then we're just going to finger press it for now. I'm going to iron it in a second. And then I'm going to do the same for this. Fold it about halfway in, and then fold it down. And this actually becomes our sashing. So I'm going to iron that real quick so it stays. Now you can pin this down, you can glue baste it down, or you can just take it to the machine and sew it as is. I don't think it's really going to move on you. So I'm not even going to glue it. You know, I'm a big gluer, but I think it's going to be fine. So I'm going to take it to the machine. I'm going to top stitch it about 1/8 in, starting at the quilt block, not the top, the quilt block to the end of the quilt block. And the reason being is when you fold this piece over, you don't want to see that stitching here. So you want to just start at the quilt block and then end at the quilt block. Don't sew the top and the bottom sashing pieces or the backing pieces. So I'm going to do that and I'll be right back. So here we have it all sewn down. And as you can see, it is stitched, like almost top stitched, or at least about an eighth in on both sides. And that is what like kind of creates our sashing. So we didn't have to cut any sashing for this. And our back looks like it's all one. So I really like that method also. So what you want to do is you want to continue to do this with the rest of your blocks in your rows. And then when you get your row done, you're going to do the same exact thing for putting together your rows. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back and I'll show you how we're going to finish up the sides. Okay, so I have about 6 blocks sewn down here. And what we're going to do now is our backing is now going to become our binding. So what we're going to do is we're going to, same way we did with our blocks, we're going to take our edge, fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. So that we're creating our binding now. And I'm going to clip this as I go. Just so it stays down. And you want to continue this all the way around. Now let me show you what you're going to do with your corners. You have 2 options for this. Okay, so let's go to our corners. First option is you can continue with just folding it in half and folding it in half again and just make a straight corner. And then continue around. You cut those little threads off if you want, or just tuck them under. And it will look like that. Now, if you don't want that and you want a mitered corner, what you can do is fold it like this, just to get some creases in there. I'm just going to finger press this. Okay. Open it up. And you're going to, it makes like little boxes. I don't know if you can see that. Right? For the outline. You're going to take, let me open this up a little more for you. You're going to take the first square here and you're going to sort of take the other squares on either side and cut at a diagonal so that it looks like this. I'm going to go diagonal across that square, the other square, so that you're going to wind up with something that looks like that. So now what you want to do is you want to fold this straight down and then fold this in half and fold again. A little clip there to hold it. Same thing on the other side. Again, fold in half, fold it again, and now you have a mitered corner. So if that's the look you want, then you can do it that way. And then continue around so that you're creating your binding all the way around your quilt. And then you're going to top stitch it just like you did your sashing here. And just top stitch it all the way around. And when I get that done, I'll be right back. Okay, so our little sample's done. Again, I only did 6 blocks just to show you a sampling of what you could do. But these are the different things you can do to embellish your blocks. And here's the back. Whoop. Here's the back of it. So it almost looks like one whole cloth in the back. And then the front again. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you idea on how to embellish your quilts, and also how to do a different way of joining your blocks with the Quilt As You Go. If you just cut your backing a little bigger, then you can just fold it over and it becomes your sashing and your binding. So that is yet another way to do Quilt As You Go. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when my next video comes out. And as always, happy sewing and sew something happy.